This Bible, on the Old Testament and the New Testament, was written with people's hand, and then they will write what they understood it, correct?
Yes.
That's what you wanted to say.
Yes.
My point is, according to their understanding, they can use the term Caesar. They can use any title. Why they specifically use the term Pharaoh for the king of Egypt all the time?
That would have been the title of the king in those days.
Good.
Pharaoh would have been the title of the king in those days.
I agree with you, but that's my point is, historical fact is not something which is skeptical. It's not something which is we can skeptic about. It's confirmed. Historical fact. The king at the time of Moses is Pharaoh. 100%. Full stop. But the king at the time of Joseph, impossible. You understand what it means? It's impossible to use the term Pharaoh, because the Hyksos never believed in Pharaoh. They never believed that they are pharaohs. They are not pharaohs. They will not use the term pharaohs.
Sharia law.
There is nothing called Sharia law.
There is nothing called Sharia law.
There is called the Sharia.
Okay.
And those are laws which Allah has mentioned in the Quran, and the Quran is mainly about three categories, about talking about God, the oneness of God, and as well stories of the people before and people yet to come, and rulings, what to do, what not to do, the prayer, fasting, marriages, things like that. Those are mentioned in the Quran. So these are people, they say those are the Sharia, but the Sharia actually is everything. Sharia is all the Quran. Believe in Allah is part of our Sharia, and that's the meaning of the Sharia. That part of our Sharia is believing in Allah. Part of our Sharia as well to believe what Allah has mentioned in the Quran about the story of the people before and the people yet to come. And part of our Sharia as well to follow what Allah, the guidance of Allah, what Allah told us to do and what Allah told us not to do. As simple as that.
Okay.
Does that answer you?
At the beginning, yes, it's a good introduction. So, the first part is about Allah and what it teaches in the Quran. The second part, did you say, is about the Torah?
No, the stories of the people
stories.
Before and the people yet to come.
Is that from the Old Testament?
No, not necessarily. Some, yes, some mentioned in the Old Testament, and some not.
So, which stories are they?
Have you read the Quran?
I haven't read the Quran.
Then read the Quran, then you'll find them.
I'm just, it would be helpful if you could explain.
There is a lot, there is a lot. There is a lot, so I can't summarize it. The whole Quran. There is a lot, but there is something which is interesting. You mentioned that you're a Christian, correct?
Yeah.
Now, I will give you one example which is believed in Christianity and even in Judaism, and it is a historical error, and I will tell you what it is.
But is this to do with Sharia law?
No, I didn't mention about the Sharia law. I told you there is no such thing called Sharia law.
Okay, sorry. Is that to do with Sharia, what you're about to say? Because this is what I came to discuss.
What was your question? What was your question just now? Do you remember?
Yeah, my question was if you could please, if it was about the Torah, the Old Testament, in the number 2 part that you explained of what Sharia is, and you said there are many stories. And
let me remind. I'm talking about the sum of the stories.
Okay.
You asked me, are those stories mentioned in the Old Testament? And now I'm giving you this example, and then you interrupted me.
All right.
Do you want to keep interrupting me?
Please explain. Yeah.
Good.
Go ahead.
All right. Going back to the point. So we have, for example, one example. Now, God has talked about the story of Moses, peace be upon him, and the story of Moses and Harun, and their struggle against the tyrant king of their time, which is Pharaoh, which is pretty much mentioned in the Old Testament. Yeah. And so each time talking about Pharaoh and Moses and Pharaoh and Moses and Aaron, these things was mentioning there. Do you want to focus? Because otherwise,
I'm listening. I'm just trying to get to the Exodus, the story of Moses and the Pharaoh.
Okay.
So I'm trying to see what you're talking about from
now,
the Bible. Yeah, thank you.
That's not my point.
Okay.
Then you have as well the story of Joseph, correct? Mentioned in the Old Testament. And then talk about again Joseph and Pharaoh, correct? To say, because Pharaoh as well, Joseph was in Egypt and Pharaoh was in Egypt according to the Old Testament, So they talked about Joseph and Pharaoh, and as well Moses and Aaron and Pharaoh and all of these things. Now, when Quran came 1400 years ago, what happened, you'll find the story of Moses, and that's the key thing now. You'll find the story of Moses scattered around the Quran, again confirming about the struggle of Moses and Pharaoh, and Moses and Harun and Pharaoh. Fine. But we have one single chapter of the Quran talks about Joseph. Only one single chapter of the Quran. And that single chapter of the Quran was only addressing the king at the time of Joseph. Never mentioned about Pharaoh at all. Say king. Joseph and a king and a Joseph, few times. So some your Christian fellows, even some Jews in the past, they said your Quran got it wrong. You have errors in the Quran. I said how? So your Quran is saying about the king at the time of Joseph to be Pharaoh, to be a king, which they don't address him as a Pharaoh. And then we said, as Muslims, we said if God has said this in the Quran, we believe in it. We accept it as it is, no problem. So they said they took it as an error in the Quran. Until nearly 100 years ago, an Englishman from this country went and studied the old hieroglyphic language of the ancient Egyptian. Yeah? And then after they discovered a stone called Rosetta Stone.
Yeah, that is in the British Museum.
Yes, this Rosetta Stone, it has the letters and the alphabet and everything of the old hieroglyphic language translated to Old Greek language and Hebrew, or Old Greek language, and then it was easy to be translated to Latin. And then later on, the historian, they start studying all these scrolls and things that they found it about ancient Egypt history. And then they said, it is impossible for the king at the time of Joseph to be called Pharaoh. Impossible. Why?
Who said that?
Historian.
Historian. 100 years ago. From the
Now,
Rosetta Stone translation.
What happened? They said because during that time, Hyksos ruled Egypt. And Hyksos is a Mediterranean reign. They took over Egypt. They were not Egyptians. They took over Egypt and they ruled Egypt. Those Hyksos, they never had the title Pharaoh whatsoever. In fact, the title Pharaoh was introduced later on. And even it was said in some places, it was said it was the title for the palace of the king. Where the king used to live, they said this is Pharaoh. Then later on, when ancient Egyptians took over their country, and when they start ruling, they brought the title to themselves. And this is a historical fact. It's not something which is, ambiguous.
I dispute this.
One second.
Okay.
One second. You could dispute.
No, this is. First of all,
you interrupted me.
Because
you
I
interrupted.
came here to have a conversation,
Yeah,
not have a lecture.
you asked me.
If it becomes a lecture.
Go in peace.
So what
You
point
could
were
go in
trying
peace.
to
Yeah,
make?
that's
Sorry.
fine.
You could go in peace.
Because
I told you, asked me a question. There is no yes and answer. You asked me.
Yeah.
You asked for an example.
Yeah, because
Did you? One
I
second. Did you ask for example? Did you ask for example?
Yeah, but you giving.
Did you ask for example? No, that's now here you have.
Yeah.
That's my way.
But
You came here to listen.
Speaker's Corner.
Okay, I'm not here to listen.
You're
to
not
that.
here to listen.
No, I'm not. I'm here to say.
So-
You asked me a question, and I'm answering you. Now, when I
This
answer,
is a lecture,
if I
it's an
ask you, one
answer.
second. If I ask you a question, then I will listen. You ask me a question, I'm answering. That's my choice. How I answer it. It's my. You can't restrict
That's
me.
true. Yeah, it's true. You
In
can
the
answer.
beginning, you
can,
didn't.
It wasn't a very direct answer, that's all.
Yeah,
That's-
I came here to ask
It is-
about Sharia
one
law,
second.
and I
I'm not-
asked
I'm
him-
not Christian either.
Yeah,
Okay.
I asked for examples,
So-
and he spoke
devil's
for.
advocate.
Going back. So here, that's what hurts. What hurts people? The facts. It hurts people. The facts. So these historian, this historian.
Based on a person.
No, historian. We're talking about facts. In ancient Egypt, it is impossible at the time of Joseph, historically, to say even they will laugh about it. If you go to historian to say to them, by the way, Pharaoh was at the time of Joseph, they will laugh at you. It's a funny thing. It's something that they laugh about because it's impossible. Just like now, to say about now King Charles now became to call him Caesar of England. No, he's not the Caesar. He's king. So that's his title. You cannot use the term Caesar for him. Yeah, because he's not Caesar. So the same thing It's exactly in the same way. He is king. That's how he is. The same thing. You cannot use the term Pharaoh to someone who never used the title Pharaoh. So that is a historical error in the Bible, which the Quran confirms the truth behind it. And the history, the facts, confirm this.
Can I ask you a question, sir?
No.
What does Pharaoh mean? No. What does Pharaoh mean?
No, yes.
No,
Your
what does
second
Pharaoh
question.
mean? What does Pharaoh mean?
I'm not.
What does Pharaoh mean?
What's your second question?
Now, my
Ask what Pharaoh
question,
means.
sir, look, we came here respectfully, right? So let's try. So yeah, I would because for me, to be honest, too, if the name is Pharaoh King or King, but it's the same kind of role, it doesn't really make a difference.
Yeah,
first of all, secondly, just because somebody said 100 years ago, oh, it's called king. Maybe Pharaoh means king, but it doesn't matter. Let's talk about these examples that you
No, that's
given.
wrong. No, you mentioned something. You mentioned something. Now you mentioned something. No, I have to respond. You mentioned something. I have to respond now.
But I can't respond
You mentioned
to
something.
you. I
Yeah,
have to
you
wait
responded.
for my turn.
Okay, finish your response about it. About what I said, you have the right to respond.
It's a very,
About
you
what I
know-
said, you have the right to respond.
Okay.
Respond. I will listen to you respond now.
Thank you. So
No. I will listen to the respond about what I said.
That's my
Don't move.
So,
Don't move to another topic.
So, what would you like to know? Because I came here to ask about Sharia law.
Okay.
Now we're
You are
talking
no.
about,
That's about my point. Is you ask a specific
okay.
question.
Yes.
You didn't stick to the point, and I answered you.
I wanted to find out what is Sharia law based on.
Going
You
back
mentioned-
to the point,
Okay.
Pharaoh. I will answer again since you mentioned this. No, actually, in the very same country here, you cannot use the term which is not used to use it for someone. For example, there are some managers in a companies they call CAO, Chief Executive, but you cannot use the term manager for him. You cannot use it. He is CAO. You cannot use that term, even though he is manager, but he is managing the company. But you cannot use the term. The same thing, you cannot use the term. For example, the king of England, the king of UK, to call him he is Caesar. That's not term is used. In the same concept, it is if 100 years from now or 1,000 years from now, someone will write a history, will say King Charles III was the Caesar of England. They will laugh about it because he didn't use this. They used the word king. That's my point.
So the problem, and I hope we can work, because it is a very kind of boring, I'm sorry to say, it's a bit boring, the point that you're making, because Pharaoh means ruler in ancient Egypt. So in every language...
So Caesar was king in the ancient... So it doesn't matter.
Pharaoh means ruler. You can call a king a ruler. Now, you're bringing up the fact of what a historian said 100 years ago. So what? Whether it's written king or Pharaoh, Pharaoh means ruler. I just Googled it.
Good.
It doesn't
Good.
change.
That's good.
Now,
Going back, let's respond to this. We'll respond to this since you brought this. Now, at the time of Jesus, what was the title of the king? Roman? No, what was not the title? Caesar. So it was why Jesus or the Bible, why they didn't use instead of king, instead of Pharaoh, to use the Caesar of Egypt? Why they didn't use it? If it was a common, that's my point. Good. So if it was before the time of the point is, during the time of Jesus, peace be upon him, they used the title Caesar. That's how you use the title.
And it's pointless to
no, it's point. There is a point.
20 minutes talking about.
No, I will keep talking about it. That's a historical error.
You want to talk about Sharia
That's a historical error.
You do not. Is anybody?
That's a big point.
Talk about Sharia law, and you're
asked me.
the topic.
Okay.
So you're going on for 15 minutes
Going
about
back.
the Pharaoh and King and avoiding the discussion on Sharia law. Is anybody willing to
Going
talk
back.
about Sharia law?
Going back to the point. Going back to the point. Those are our cameras anyway, so we can talk to our cameras now. We are okay. So let's talk about.
Do you want to win the argument or gain somebody? What do you want to do?
Both. Both.
Right. Okay. So
No.
the point that you're making, right, whether it's Pharaoh or King,
Or
right,
Caesar, or Caesar, or Emperor, or whatever.
So are you
So they are
making
not.
on
They're
the
not
minor
synonymous.
here?
They are not
Are
the
you
same.
being didactic?
They're
for
not
a
the
reason?
same. Yeah, I am because
Right.
for a reason.
What point are you trying to make?
There is
That
an
the
error.
Bible is wrong
Yes.
and the Quran is right?
Yes.
That's your argument,
Yes,
yeah?
my argument.
Okay.
That's exactly my argument. That's exactly my argument. That's exactly my argument. Exactly my argument. Because here, if it was a common name, as she said, is a title of a king, no problem. Why they haven't used the Caesar of Egypt? They didn't use that, but they used the title Pharaoh, which is true. Which Pharaoh does. And as well, it means the ruler of Egypt.
Hold on, wait. Moses wrote about Joseph, right? Hold on. Wait.
That he was not, Ramses II was not Pharaoh.
Did I say Ramses II is not Pharaoh?
No, because
you just jumped in. You don't know what's going on.
Right. Moses
see the video
about
later
Pharaoh. Moses called Pharaoh, right?
Yes.
That would have been his dad, but a stepfather.
Okay.
Right? Or
That's
his adopted father. Because Moses was adopted, right, by Pharaoh's daughter. All right? Agreed?
By Pharaoh's wife?
No, Pharaoh's daughter.
We believe his wife. Okay, carry on.
Right, okay, right.
Does he
Whatever.
change the story or what?
Right, okay, right. Now,
His wife, yeah.
right, now, it is a matter of, you're saying, right, okay, you believe that your account in the Quran is the right interpretation.
Yes.
Okay? And you have a didactic argument to prove it.
Yes.
Right? We are saying, right, okay, that we don't believe that your interpretation is right.
No problem. I'm not here. I'm not here to listen.
Well, you are. No, you just said you're here to win the argument. You told me that.
Yes. I'm saying I already won it. I already did.
No, you haven't won the argument. You haven't. All you've done is preach to the converted, because all the Muslims here are going to say, "Oh, my brother is right."
Yes, he's right. I'm right. And I'm right. And not just that.
No. All we Christians are going to say...
Don't shush me.
I will
Please,
shush you.
I will shush you again. But I respect you because you're older than me.
Okay.
So
vice versa.
The same thing. So don't shush someone.
Okay. All right. Okay. Right.
Will you apologize about your shushing me?
If you apologize by not interrupting me.
I didn't interrupt you. You shushed me. If I interrupt you, I apologize. I have no issues.
Okay. Well, and I apologize for shushing you.
Okay. Now, what do you want to say?
Okay. My point is this, right? We can stand here, right, and we can measure our equipment about I'm this and I'm that, but in the end, we all want the truth about God to be revealed.
Good.
Right?
That's what I want.
Well, I'm on a factor, okay? Right? Now, have you ever dictated a letter?
Which letter?
You're writing a letter, but somebody's writing it for you.
Yeah.
Have you dictated a letter?
Yeah, I did.
Right. Have they ever used their own words in the letter that you've written? You think, So I've got the impression that's what I said, but they used their words instead of yours.
I will tell you something. I know where you're going.
No, but can you answer my question, please? And then I'll answer yours.
There is no yes and no.
Yeah, there is. No. There's a point I'm trying to get to.
No.
Please.
That's not
please.
yes and no.
No, there is. Yes or no. Okay. We've all dictated a letter, right? No. Hold on. There is a point to this.
One second. By the way, what's your name?
My name's Steve.
Steve, listen to me. Let's agree on something.
Okay.
Listen, if my question to you yes and no, yeah, then you tell me maybe if it's not yes and no according to you, you are entitled to answer what you think is convenient for you, yeah? And the same thing goes for me. You cannot dictate me what I should say, what I shouldn't say.
You're dictating tacitly.
No.
You have your people around. You're dictating.
Listen. No, but there are Christian people. By the way, our people around. Does that threat you? I mean, we're here. We're being passive. We're being nice to you, and I respected you. I apologized earlier.
I respect to you too.
And I apologized earlier if I came across in a rude way. So I respected again. Yeah. So let's have a respectful conversation.
We're both passionate people.
That's good.
Okay.
So my point is, what you wanted to say, I understand that what you wanted to say, that this Bible, on the Old Testament and the New Testament, was written with people's hand, and then they will write what they understood it, correct?
Yes.
That's what you wanted to say.
Yes.
My point is, according to their understanding, they can use the term Caesar. They can use any title. Why they specifically use the term Pharaoh for the king of Egypt all the time?
That would have been the title of the king in those days.
Good.
Pharaoh would have been the title of the king in those days.
I agree with you, but that's my point is, historical fact is not something which is skeptical. It's not something which is we can skeptic about. It's confirmed. Historical fact. The king at the time of Moses is Pharaoh. 100%. Full stop. But the king at the time of Joseph, impossible. You understand what it means? It's impossible to use the term Pharaoh, because the Hyksos never believed in Pharaoh. They never believed that they are pharaohs. They are not pharaohs. They will not use the term pharaohs anywhere. So the point is, when Joseph was working for that king, he was addressed as a king, not pharaoh at all. At all.
Can I ask you this, right?
You understand?
His lineage, right, would have been Pharaoh.
Who?
Agreed. In Joseph's time.
No.
Right? Yes, of course he was.
No.
He came from a line of pharaohs.
No. That's not true. That's not true. Go back to history. I'm not bringing. Open the history.
You're saying the Rosetta Stone, right?
No.
So you got one man.
No, not one man. I'm talking about historical fact. I'm not talking about one man.
Of one man who
listen.
with the Bible.
What happened? 1 second. Oh no. Someone. By the way, he's a Christian. He's a Christian guy. But I will give this guy. He didn't interpret anything. What he did, he discovered the old hieroglyphic language into old Greek language, and then they start understanding what they used to write on the pyramids and everywhere. Let me try to explain to you. So because at that time no one knows what is written there. They will walk by the pyramids, they will find these scrolls, they don't know what it means. Until this guy, he dismantled the language into understandable language, correct? Then when they brought all these scrolls, all this ancient history which is written on these minarets all around Egypt, they said the time of Joseph, around 500 years before Moses was sent, the ancient Egyptian took over, and then they start using the term Pharaoh. Before that, during the time of Joseph, when Hyksos ruled, impossible the Pharaoh was there. So it's not lineage of Pharaohs. You understand?
Can I
Do you get the point?
I hear what you're saying.
Okay, good.
And I respect what you're saying.
Good. And I respect as well.
But may I say
some of what you say.
The Bible, right, in terms of continuity, use the word Pharaoh to describe the type of rule that he had in Joseph's day, because it was Egypt.
That's not true.
Rather than going to the semantics of language, he used the continuity of language. Right?
But that's not true.
Which may have hang on, wait. People still explain whether he's Pharaoh or king, he was an eminent ruler.
I understand.
Carrying on in the traditions, right, of the Egyptians. Whether he's a hexagon or not, right, in a way, right, is a side issue.
No, it's a main issue. I will tell you why. Just exactly, it's not side issue. My point is, what I'm trying to get to you, I'm trying to make you to understand, all the Christian fellows or followers of Christianity. Now, when we have, just for example, this country, this very same country, United Kingdom, it was ruled at certain point by Roman Caesars.
Yeah, that's true.
At certain point.
That's true.
Yeah.
Like your country's ruled by emirs.
Yeah. And then later on, when the king, the first king, I think, when they start having the power of the country, I think what was his name, the first king? I forget his name. Anyway.
Okay.
From
Henry
England.
Or,
no, not Henry, but not before Henry. In England, the first king, the one who united the kingdom.
Hang on.
Edward? Or
not Edward.
No.
It might have been Edward.
No,
Edward.
Richard. Richard.
Anyway.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So the point is that there is a first king. So that first king has used the title king, correct?
Okay.
So the point is, if I am now writing history now, even for example, let's say Richard the Great. Let's talk about Richard the Great.
Yeah.
So if I say, Richard the Great was the Pharaoh of the United Kingdom.
Right. Okay.
Well, someone will laugh at you. So
yeah, of course they would.
What's this nonsense?
Because it's non-sequitur.
Yeah. So because we know Pharaoh is the king of the Egypt at certain point.
Yes.
Yeah. And then as well, if you use the Caesar, because Caesar was a title being used here.
Okay. By the Romans.
Yeah. But since he didn't use the title Caesar, he used the title king. So it will be historical error to say about Richard the Great. 1 second.
Yeah, sorry, I'm sorry.
So it is historical error to say about Richard the Great to address him as Caesar. It's a historical error.
I hear what
you understand?
Saying, right?
If I find this in a book which claims to be the word of God, not word of man, word of God, and I found this is the word of God, which means it has to be true, and this word of God has historical error, that is what I will be doubting about the facts in this.
Okay,
you get it?
I understand the thread. If you pull the thread and it all falls apart, That's what you're saying, yes?
Yes, that's what
Okay,
that's part of it.
And I hear your didactic argument, all right? But let's come with this.
By the way, do
right?
you come generally to the park? Or this is the first time? This is the first time, yeah? Is this the first time?
No, I haven't been here for years.
You should come more regular. We all give these hecklers anyway. But
Right? Now, let's look at it from this point of view. Right? Pharaoh in Moses' day was his adopted father, yes? Okay, so Moses would have used that word as Pharaoh.
God has used the
Right,
title
now, hold
Pharaoh.
on, wait,
Not
because
Moses.
God also used the personality of the writers
Good.
to write also. So, because Moses was an educated man,
Good,
he
yeah.
went to the Oxford and Cambridge of his time.
Yeah, okay.
All right, let's use that.
No,
okay?
not Oxford. No, we're gonna have
You're
issues.
saying Cambridge.
I know.
No, I'm saying Oxford. Right?
Okay.
So he went to the Oxford of his time, right?
Okay.
Therefore, when he wrote, right, as God's secretary, he would have used language that he wanted to put on. So to describe the rule and the way that Pharaoh ruled at that time was as a Pharaoh.
That
Right?
during the time Moses,
Hold on.
I have no problem with
Like,
it.
and even in Joseph's time,
No.
because the guy had absolute autonomy, like a pharaoh would. He was worshipped almost as a god, like a pharaoh. Now, the reason why you and I call them pharaohs and not kings, because pharaohs were worshipped as a god-like figure.
Okay.
Therefore, when Moses wrote that, Pharaoh, he was saying the type of man this guy was.
Okay. Did you finish?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you saying any king who
No.
been worshipped
No,
had to
no.
be can use the title
No,
pharaoh?
no,
Meaning
no,
the emperors of Japan was
No.
the pharaohs. So that
No.
So-
only in terms of Egypt.
No.
Or Semitic countries, you
no.
would say.
1 second.
Semitic countries.
Okay,
That was a Semitic language.
Good, Semitic country. I accept this, Semitic. Let's go back to the Semitic countries. Since the Semitic countries, the Canaanites who ruled, who are Semitic people,
They wouldn't have pharaohs.
1 second, they never had pharaohs. They had kings
Yeah.
that goes smashing,
Only
smashing
Egypt. Only Egypt had pharaohs.
So,
Only Egypt had pharaohs.
Yeah.
And you know that. Come
yeah, not only Egypt was ruled. Nowadays, for example, there is a president in Egypt. We cannot use his pharaoh of Egypt. You understand?
But
Come
in those
on.
days, only pharaohs ruled.
Moses, yes, I agree. But when it comes to Joseph, like to say, it's the guy to say, why don't the Bible use the president of Joseph?
Because this guy was pharaoh-like.
No, it
This
wasn't
guy-
Pharaoh, wasn't Pharaoh, it was a king. So
Oh,
let's
I understand
let's
that.
stick,
Yes.
let's
Okay.
stick to the text.
Okay. Okay. You're saying
Listen.
tomato, I'm saying tomato.
Listen. No. It's not tomatoes. You're saying tomatoes. I'm saying cucumber. We're talking about different things. Different things. By the way, that's one thing. So let's accept. Listen, let's accept something. It is not. I mean, it should be. If we go to the history, I'm talking about historical facts. It's not something. Seriously, if you go now to Egypt, seriously now, and you read all of these scrolls and things what they have discovered, amazing thing.